Welcome into the block. I'm Emily Proud. He's Blake Brockermeyer. He's Coach Carl Reed. Guys, it's pretty early in the season, but let's take a look at the current Heisman odds right now. I think C.J. Stroud leading the way, and we're hoping to show you that. Here it is, C.J. Stroud at plus 300, Bryce Young plus 325, Caleb Williams still up there, Stetson Bennett, and Will Anderson Jr. after a pretty tough performance down in Texas for him. He is in the top 5 currently via Caesars Sportsbook. But guys, let's all just pretend for a second that we're actually headed up to the Big Apple for the Heisman Trophy ceremony this weekend. All you have to go off of is 2 weeks of football. So Carl, who are your Heisman finalists?
I'm going to keep Bryce Young at the top of my list from Alabama. Alabama had a tough game against Texas. It wasn't the blowout that people expected. But if you watch the drive, the game-winning drive that he led at the end of the game, it just showed that he's a step above everybody else. He's just on another level with his calmness, with his feel for the game, and his ability to dominate. Stetson Bennett has Georgia right now playing like the best team in the country, and they're playing well because of him and not in spite of him, you know, like it has been in the past. Caleb Williams at USC, they're starting to take off. Deuce Vaughn, the running back at Kansas State, we've been talking about him all summer. He had a great game, just a big-time running back there out of K-State, and a guy that I don't think we talk about nearly as much as we should is KJ Jefferson, the quarterback of the Arkansas Razorbacks. What he's doing offensively for them and what he means to their football program right now, you have to elevate him into the conversation. He is playing right now like a superstar, and he's got the Arkansas Razorbacks really excited about the future of their football season.
I like it. Okay, just to make things fair, though, let's go ahead and see Blake's top 5.
Yeah, I've got Stetson Bennett number 1 again. He's got total command of the Georgia offense right now. Like Carl said, they're winning, you know, because of him, not in spite of him. He's averaging 334 yards a game, 75% completion rate. So he keeps that up. He's going to be at the top of this list at the end of the season. We've got Caleb Williams second. He's averaging 295 yards a game, 80% completion rate, 6 touchdowns, no picks, doing everything that you would expect a franchise quarterback to do. And then I've got some running backs. I've got Raheem Rocket Sanders of Arkansas. He's fourth in the country in rushing at 136 yards a game, 6.2 yards a clip. He's played against 2 solid opponents in Cincinnati and South Carolina, although South Carolina's run defense is near the bottom of the country, but still they've got some good players. And then I've got Chase Brown. We don't give him any love ever. He's leading the country in rushing at 168 yards per game, 6.7 yards a clip. He's been a big-time player for Brett Bielema's ground and pound offense, playing great defense, just like Brett Bielema always does. And then last, I've got Deuce Vaughn. He's 5th in the country at 135 yards a game, and a big reason K-State's off to a hot start, as we expected.
Loving all the running backs from both of you guys, but of course this is Heisman talk, and we usually alert that to the quarterbacks, and there is a glaring missing quarterback on yours, Blake. We've heard you gush about Bryce Young in the past. We know that you are well aware of the skills that he holds, but Blake, what do you believe is the biggest threat to him repeating as the Heisman Trophy winner?
Well, he's had a great year. He hasn't put up just crazy numbers like he was last year, but he's not turning the ball over. He's being efficient when he can. But the standard to win the Heisman Trophy twice, I believe, is elevated for him. I think he's going to have to continue doing what he's doing, which he's doing a great job. They're going to have to continue to win. But I think just the expectations to win it 2 years in a row, he's going to have to start putting up more ridiculous numbers. But at the end of the day, all that matters is a win. And Bryce Young had a clutch drive at the end of the game, made one incredible play, just pretty much all by himself to keep that game going and to get a win last week.
I'd argue, too, though, that we saw a bit of a Heisman moment already from Bryce Young in that game, leading his team to victory. Carl, what do you think he needs to do to be able to repeat?
I think that they need to be in the complete plan for the national championship, and he has to be the reason again why they're playing there. Right now, while they figure out some of the issues at wide receiver, he needs to continue to be the straw that stirs the drink in his consistency and leading them to big wins no matter the circumstance. They have a tough schedule here down the stretch. And if he can navigate that schedule, then he'll be right back in New York with a chance to repeat.
All right, we got to talk about these running backs. You guys have it all over the board here, and a name that probably some people saw pop up, weren't really sure, haven't seen before, is Raheem Sanders. He's also known as Rocket Sanders, so I gotta ask about him, Blake. We hear about these running backs, Bijan Robinson, Braylon Allen, Deuce Vaughn. Why do you think that Rocket Sanders needs to be up in that conversation as well?
Well, I think he's a big part of the reason that they're having a lot of success right now. KJ Jefferson and him are main cogs and the reason that Arkansas is doing so well offensively. They've got other good players as well. They've got a really good offensive line. But, Sam Pittman is going to run the football, play action pass, and Raheem Sanders is doing an incredible job. They're going to need to lean on him for the rest of the season if they're going to continue to keep winning games like they are right now.
Yeah, we have two Arkansas offensive players in each of your top five. So, Carl, make the case for KJ Jefferson. I mean, is this offense awesome if it has both of those guys in it?
Awesome offense led by Kendall Browse, who's one of the most innovative guys. Obviously, we all know about what they accomplished at Baylor, him and his dad, Art. KJ is a dual threat guy, a guy who can run, a guy who can pass. And guys like that are the guys who make the kind of plays and have the kind of moments that you're going to need to be able to win a Heisman Trophy. Now, it will come down to, can they win some of the bigger SEC West games? He's going to have opportunities against programs like Alabama, Texas A&M, Auburn, and LSU down the stretch to have huge moments. And the Heisman Trophy winner always has moments in those games. And so we'll get an opportunity to see if he's up for it.
I think one thing too is Arkansas has played two quality opponents. A lot of the teams around the country have had a cupcake game or two cupcake games. So you got to give them credit for playing two quality opponents, although both of them were at home. And so I think I'll give a little bit of credit to guys when they're playing better teams than teams that maybe are going to be an easy W.
And a team we don't usually talk about all that much is Illinois, and when it comes to their offense, we know exactly what they want to do. So what is it about Chase Brown? I mean, he currently leads the entire country in rushing yards right now. He has played 3 games, so we'll go ahead and throw that out there as well. That does skew the numbers a little bit, but what is it about him that he deserves to be in a Heisman conversation?
Well, he's just a fantastic all-around back. That's the main reason why their offense has had a little bit of success this year. They're more of a defensive team. They're going to play field position, but at running for almost 170 yards a game and being that guy for their offense and just having a terrific season so far. So if he can continue this, I think Illinois has got a chance to come out of the West in a really good position this year.
Blake, this is an interesting pick and a guy that I'm very familiar with. Corey Patterson, a close friend of mine, I used to coach against him in high school from St. Louis, Missouri, is the running back coach at the University of Illinois. And he has been telling me for months that in his opinion, his guy is the best running back in the country. This guy's got superstar written all over him. He's playing for a head coach in Brent Bielema that believes in pounding the ball with the running back and running downhill. And he's having an excellent season so far. He was 1,000-yard back a year ago. If he can stay healthy and consistent, he's going to take Illinois into some unfamiliar waters. He's having a great season so far.
I like it, especially in that division, definitely wide open. We're going to talk a little bit about that in just a bit. But real quick, I got to ask about Caleb Williams. He just continues to climb up your guys' Heisman board each and every week. Is this just what Lincoln Riley does, is make Heisman quarterbacks? Or what is it about Caleb Williams that maybe is different than some of the other quarterbacks that Riley has dealt with in the past? Carl, we'll start with you.
Well, I think that Lincoln has shown over the years he's a great quarterback evaluator. He always has a guy playing for him that can play the position at a high level. He knows how to teach his system very well, and he's able to do it with guys who can throw the ball all over the field, guys who are more dual threat guys. He's had Jalen Hurts and Kendall Murray, guys that were more runners. Caleb Williams can do both extremely well, and I think he's going to have just a ton of success playing in that offense out at USC for Lincoln Riley. He also added a top flight receiver in Jordan Addison to help his cause. He's going to put up crazy numbers. And if USC can stay consistent and find himself in the hunt for the playoffs, Caleb may crash the Heisman Trophy party.
Blake, how far can USC go with Caleb Williams under center?
I think they can go pretty far. I think they got a great chance to run the table this year. The game versus Utah down the stretch in a couple of weeks is going to be a huge test for them, playing at Utah. They go to Oregon State in a couple of weeks. I believe it's a night game, which is going to be a tough environment. But he's an incredible dual threat quarterback. He's got a lot of talent around him. He's got a pretty good offensive line too, and good running back. So the sky's the limit for USC this year in year one with Lincoln Riley, and Caleb Williams is a huge reason why. Throwing the ball for almost 300 yards and completing 80% of his balls. So I would expect that to continue throughout the rest of the season.
Certainly is fun to watch. Well, we saw upsets galore in week 2. So who needs to right the ship in week 3? Blake, give me a team desperate for a bounce back.
Well, Texas A&M needs a bounce back this week. I expect them to play inspired football with renewed energy and effort. They'll have the home field advantage in a night game at Kyle Field. It is going to be loud. Miami, get ready. Your offensive linemen, you're in for a treat. The Aggies will bring it, and I expect them to rebound this week. I expect to see 2 quarterbacks. Devon A-Chain, I would expect him to run the football. I know Miami's got a good run defense, but I do think that A&M will likely rebound this week at home. Maybe throw more short and intermediate passing routes to kind of get the quarterbacks going. But Evan Stewart's got some big play potential for them at wide receiver, and Nia Smith as well. So the defense needs to show up. They need to give the offense more opportunity to run plays and not get pushed around like they did last week against Appalachian State.
Really hard to argue with that pick, but if you want to get a little bit more in depth, we talked about this endlessly yesterday from every single angle. You can check out that clip on the 24/7 Sports YouTube page. But Carl, give me your bounce back team of the week.
My bounce back team of the week is the University of Iowa. Losing a big game against Iowa State, if you've ever been to the state of Iowa and you know how important that rivalry is, it's huge. And the Hawkeyes don't like losing that game. They have to come out with a very, very renewed confidence. They have to come out and be better offensively. They have been abysmal offensively, but the University of Iowa has to come back this week and play really good football, and they got to get that deal back on track.
Although we shouldn't listen to fans necessarily, Carl. A lot of them are calling for the offensive coordinator, Brian Ferentz, to be let go. A lot of them are calling for Spencer Petras to be sat and start another quarterback. Is it as easy as just, ripping the Band-Aid off on either one of those options?
You have to understand whether people like this or not. Blake has 4 sons, and I have 3. Brian Ferentz is the head coach of Iowa, Kirk Ferentz's son. And there's a lot of guys in a lot of professions throughout the country that have sons that have not panned out in their businesses the way you thought you should, the way you would hope that they would. Can you imagine firing your son and having to go home and have that conversation with your wife? When your son is involved and when family is involved, it's a completely different conversation. All of these youth sports dads should understand this better than anybody when they play their son at shortstop and he boots the ball every play, or when they put their kid in the cleanup spot hidden and he strikes out 3 times. It's a very delicate situation at the University of Iowa. You have to get production out of the offense, no matter what the situation is. But when it's your son in charge, it does change it. People that have kids understand that.
Yeah, Blake, I mean, I can't put I can't wrap my mind around what that must be like. A really tough decision to manage what's happening with his son. But this isn't youth. I mean, this is big business, college football, millions of dollars on the line. How difficult is that decision for him to make, if that needs to be the correct decision?
Well, I think it'd be a really difficult decision to make. I mean, Kurt Ferentz is a legend in Iowa. He's probably the most popular person in the state of Iowa. And so nobody wants to get rid of their son, who's the offensive coordinator, but he is the head coach. He is in charge of the Iowa football team. And the Iowa offense is historically bad right now. They're they're 130th in rushing and passing. So Carl expects them to improve offensively. Yeah, they can't do any worse than they're doing right now. So they definitely will improve. So, what my question is, whoever's developing the quarterbacks or evaluating quarterbacks, if Iowa wants to run the football, get a dual threat quarterback that can run the football. I mean, if that's what you want to be known as a running team, which they are, then get a quarterback that can run as well. And that way you've got an extra player on the field that you have to count for.
Well, Blake, that's not going to help them Saturday because they got to deal with the hand that they have right now. Mm-hmm. And so that is a good recruiting strategy for the future. But, man, the Iowa people are really coming after the coaching staff right now because when you're close to last in the country offensively, there's no nice way to tell someone that they're not doing a great job.
Yeah, along those lines, Kirk Ferentz is the highest paid public employee in the state of Iowa. And earlier this year, he was extended through the 2029 season. Now, although he's not going anywhere, and we've established how unlikely it is that he'll make the tough move to fire his own son, Carl, where is the hope for a turnaround for Iowa fans in the here and now?
Kirk Ferentz has been winning football games at the University of Iowa for a long time. So I have to believe that he's going to get this situation figured out and he's going to do what is best for the University of Iowa first. He's going to probably do what's best for his family second, but it is a tough situation to be in. I wouldn't want to be in his situation. I would probably not make my son the offensive coordinator in a situation like that. But once you go down that road, you're in it now. There's no easy fix. There's not a midseason transaction that they can make on the offensive side of the ball. And so they got to band together and figure it out right now. One of the important things about being a football team is you can either point the finger or you can band together and everybody rally around and try to figure out how to find success and how to figure out how to win. It's easy for everybody to point the finger to Brian Ferentz right now and say, you're not doing a great job. But the University of Iowa has a long season and a tough Big Ten schedule. They better figure out some things offensively sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and defensively, they do have a very good squad. They're in the top 10 in the country in defense, in total defense. So maybe their defense can be opportunistic like they were last year, return a couple of touchdowns a game. Special teams is going to have to be really good. If you can win two out of the three phases of the game, then maybe the offense can get going a little bit. But it looks like Iowa, who's traditionally an 8-9 wins team every year, it doesn't look great for them this year. It looks like they're probably likely to have a bad season and probably miss a bowl game if you look at the record and who they have to play still.
Well, guys, if everything we just told you wasn't bad enough, there's also this. Former Oklahoma head coach Bob Stoops was paid to make a video for Cameo, not knowing the person he's referencing in the video is actually Brian Ferentz. Take a look.
Hello there, Brian. Bob Stoops here saying hi. And listen, I know you've had a tough couple of 2-3 years there, but the good news is your family still supports you, buddy. Especially your dad. He wants you to know that. But and even though everyone else seems to be against you, sometimes the best advice is to break free from the family business, man. Go do what you got to do. So anyhow, all the best to you and a big boomer sooner and good luck.
it's so sincere. He has no idea that that's the Brian. Guys, I mean, somebody paid some good money for that. I think I was looking online. It cost about $250 to get a note from him. I'll start with you, Carl. Worth every penny?
Wow. You know, Bob Stoops, one of the legendary Hawkeyes, himself. Obviously, you would have to think that if he knew that what this was, he wouldn't have participated in it. But it just goes to show you how the college football fans think. College football fans are fanatics about their team, and they want to change. But I am going to side with Kirk Ferentz on this one for now. I think that he gets the ship righted, but that is a crazy video. When I first heard it, I didn't know how Cameo worked, so I thought that Bob made it without with knowing. I didn't know what to think at first, but after I got the story that it's it's kind of an anonymous deal. But Iowa's the natives are restless right now.
Yeah, Blake, as far as we know, Bob Stoops had no idea who he was actually talking to. Did you enjoy that video?
Yeah, that was pretty smart. Whoever thought of that was smart. And they got the basketball coach to do the same thing, which I thought was even more was really funny as well. But Iowa fans are definitely not happy with how things are going this season, understandably. But I think you can't expect to have a exceptional team every single year. You're going to have a bad year here and there. They will hopefully get the ship righted here soon. They got a tough schedule ahead of them, but Kirk Ferentz is going to have some tough decisions to make after this season, but he deserves a little bit of leeway. He's done an incredible job at Iowa, and is a man that I respect a lot as a coach and a person.
Blake, here's a question I have for you, as we've been following football for a long time. Does winning as much as Kirk Ferentz has won at Iowa, does that give him the benefit of the doubt now in troubling times? Or does he fall into this new age mentality where as soon as things go a little the other direction, people want you out of there and they start throwing stones? Does he get any reprieve from Iowa from being a tremendous coach for the last 2 decades?
Well, he should. I mean, he's done an incredible job. To me, Iowa overachieves almost every year with the talent that they have on that team compared to some of the teams that they're playing against. So I would give him a pass this season. The season is still young. They have a chance to their goals are still ahead of them, so they could turn this thing around. But offensively, it looks like it's going to be a rough year. I mean, you look at Charlie Jones transferring to Purdue. He's leading the Big Ten in receiving. So he must have known something before everybody else did. So it looks like it's going to be a tough year for them. But maybe they can get it turned around. But I got, like I said, I have all the respect in the world for Kirk Ferentz, and I will give him a pass for sure. He's done an incredible job at Iowa.
Iowa was just in the Big Ten championship last season against the University of Michigan, a game away from, who knows what happens. So I think that the University of Iowa obviously is in great hands. And then we got to see how the rest of the season plays out. But Kirk Ferentz is Iowa. Probably the only guy more popular than him in the state is the great Dan Gable.
Absolutely. Nobody was questioning that extension when he received it back in January, coming off that Big Ten championship appearance game. Guys, thank you so much for the great discussion here on The Block. Be sure to check us out Monday through Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern on the 24/7 Sports YouTube page. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you tomorrow.